Hello everyone and welcome to Excoundrel's channel. Today I have a big announcement. I am going to be using this voice for the remainder of my videos forever.
Just kidding. Never going to do that. Okay, I'm not feeling 100% right now, guys. This is why I usually try and get the champion guide out really early. But alas, my health is not fantastic right now. I've had a bit of a fever for the past few days. It's not COVID. I've done 2 COVID tests, but yeah, I'm not feeling 100%. Thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There's a reference link in the description below. And today's video is all about GALIO. We have got numerous things that I kind of want to show you on GALIO today. One of the big ones is a gameplay of GALIO that I was playing as support, but I played him as my mage build GALIO, and that's going to be later on. But of course, throughout this video, expect builds, runes, ability descriptions, and then combos, and then I'll show you a game at the end as well. The game was pretty long, so I'm going to do like a voiceover of it, but it was pretty long. I probably will put the game into 2 times speed just to kind of show you, because it was like a 20-something minute game, but I don't want it to take up the entire video, but I will show you the game. Okay, right, this is how I believe the best way to build GALIO. Let's jump into the builds and runes. Okay, for some reason, the game suggests that you take Electrocute on GALIO. Don't take Electrocute on GALIO. It's wrong. You should always be taking Aftershock, even as mid lane AP GALIO, but more importantly, 100% as support GALIO. And the reason being is that GALIO has 3 forms of CC that can proc Aftershock. You've got his Taunt, his third ability Knockup, and his ultimate, all of which will proc Aftershock. Also, he's a melee champion, so especially if you're playing him in the mid lane, if you want to take an effective and positive trade with your enemy laner, Aftershock is going to give you those extra resistances. And you see, you're going to get 35 armor and 35 MR plus any kind of bonus bits that you get, plus the fact that you're going to deal some damage to them in an area. Those extra resistances are really important to taking positive trades with GALIO in the laning phase. So Aftershock is almost certainly the best rune for you to take. I then like to go for Brutal. I think Backbone is pretty nice as well, but I also don't mind Hunter Titan and also Hunter Genius as my final rune, because you have a good impact in the game in terms of having big impact in team fights, so it's very likely that you'll be able to stack Hunter Genius relatively quickly. In terms of the build paths, I'm going to show you 2. This is my, from testing so far, this is my favorite mage build for GALIO. Rod of Ages into Liandry's Torment. I know that the game recommends that you go Zhonya's, and I think Stasis. I think Stasis enchant is a good option, but I actually really like the Hextech Belt enchant. The reason being is it gives you another way to close the gap on people in team fights and get a big taunt off. So I quite like Hextech. I know that some people would prefer Zhonya's, but actually I really do like Hextech. And then like Abyssal Mask, it just synergizes really well with GALIO. Like, you are a melee magic damage dealer, and so, you know, getting that bonus magic damage in the area around you. I know that you don't quite make use of the Eternity passive, because obviously you're double stacking Eternity passive, but I still think that it's a good item in general. I know the Eternity passive isn't the end of the world in terms of double stacking it, and I just think having those extra resistances, more health and mana, and also the fact that you're dealing 15% extra magic damage to enemies near you, that's just a good item for GALIO to have. I then like Rabadons, and then I like Void Staff. And if I'm going like mid lane GALIO, I'll either go Barrier Flash, or I'll go Ignite Flash, as you can see here. In terms of support, I think this is what I like for support. I like Zeke's Convergence, because if you use your ultimate, you're going to be straight into the middle of the team fight. You're supposed to be on top of the enemies at this point. You're going to taunt them. You're going to get huge value out of your Zeke's Convergence AoE. I then like Sunfire. I think Sunfire is a really good pickup for GALIO. You know, you're designed to try and exist for as long as possible in teamfight scenarios, so you want to be amping up the damage that you deal as a tank. I, again, also like Ninja Protobelt. I like the Protobelt enchant. I think, again, closing distances is really nice. I then like Abyssal Mask for the same reason that I like it on my other build, and I like Frozen Heart as well. And similar runes, Aftershock, Brutal, Backbone, / Hunter Titan, and Hunter Genius for GALIO. So that is kind of how I would build GALIO across both support and also mage. In terms of level priority, it's relatively easy. Ultimate, first ability, second ability, third ability. Very simple. Don't need to stray from this too far, and this is all you need to know in terms of leveling GALIO's abilities. Okay, let's start off with his passive, Colossal Smash. Essentially, it's an empowered basic attack that deals damage scaling with AD, AP, and Magic Resist. Simple as you like, deals damage in an area, and GALIO will glow, and his hands will be kind of like glowing once you know that he has that passive available. Again, just a very simple ability to work with on his passive. Winds of War essentially fires 2 projectiles that converge and create a tornado, and it deals percentage max health damage in the tornado area, which is obviously a really good way of like shredding tanks as well, but I'll show you in action. That is the obviously dealing a small amount of damage with the actual projectile, and then this is the damage in an area over a small amount of time, including percentage max health. Easy as you like. Shield of Durand has a passive and an active. The passive is essentially GALIO will get a shield when he is dealt magic damage. So GALIO will get a shield when he's dealt magic damage, and it absorbs only magic damage. If you hold the ability, GALIO will enter a defensive stance, giving him both magic and physical damage reduction, and upon releasing it, will taunt enemies caught in an area for up to 1.5 seconds, but no shorter than 0.5 seconds. So I'm going to show you this here. That's me charging. The enemy gets pulled towards me like that. It's another way of proccing your aftershock as well, so it's a good thing to use in a team fight. If you tap it, you'll taunt them for 0.5 seconds. Good way of just catching someone off it very quickly. But even if you just do a little taunt like that, you'll have them taunted for a fairly significant amount of time. So I should always recommend that you charge it for just a little bit, because it will give you a much more effective taunt. Justice Punch. GALIO dashes forward and hits an enemy champion or terrain. So I can show you it into terrain like this. He hits terrain. Boom, hits the terrain or the champion and knocks them up. So he'll deal a little bit of damage in an area. If you have your passive up, he will automatically basic attack them following Justice Punch. So if you have the passive up, and even if you don't have the passive up, I think he does actually basic attack them. So he automatically basic attacks following his Justice Punch. So he'll jump in, and if he has the passive, it's an automatic way of taking a good trade, because you dive in and deal the damage. If you want to get away, you need to make sure you are significant, because he has a little wind up. If you're using this to escape, you need to make sure that you are not near the enemy champion. It's a little bit deceptive. You need to be a little further away than you think to actually get away using this ability, because if you are even remotely close, you'll dive straight into them and it won't be a very good escape tool. And finally, Hero's Entrance. Grants the Shield of Durand passive for 3.5 seconds to any allied champions in the landing area. After 2.5 seconds, GALIO arrives at the location, dealing magic damage and knocking enemies up for 0.5 seconds. 0.75 seconds. Sorry, I'm not feeling very well, so I can't talk today. I'm just flashing down here because I want to show you the range. You can see that my dummy target got a shield, and I came in and I knocked up the enemy dummy target. This is what makes GALIO super strong in team fights, by the way. In terms of combos, it's relatively simple. You've seen me already use Justice Punch, but obviously when you're looking to engage and you've got Aftershock up, you want to dive this, you want to basic attack, keep the Winds of War going, and then you want to try and use the taunt to keep them going. It's relatively simple in that sense. So essentially you dive in, you auto attack, then you use the Winds of War, and you can either taunt them or you can walk away. So one of the things that I like to do is, let's say we're diving in, we're using Winds of War, and then I like to walk away like this. So I get the damage reduction. So I get the damage reduction when I'm walking away with my taunt up. And then that means they're probably not going to come closer to me because they're just going to get taunted afterwards anyway. And by that point, I might be able to use my Colossal Smash again. So that's one of the very, very basic combos for GALIO. Obviously, the other one is you want to make sure you use your ultimate. You can actually aim your Justice Punch coming out of your ultimate. You want to then taunt immediately to try and keep whoever you're keeping alive safe. So you want to make sure you do it like that. That's a really simple combo. Taunting directly into Winds of War to ensure that someone takes the full damage is another good combo. GALIO is relatively simple, if I'm honest with you guys. As long as you're able to do this, as long as you're able to do the Justice Punch into the Winds of War, then walking away with the Shield of Durand, or you just know how to use the ultimate correctly, setting up the Justice Punch, and then either taunting straight off the back, like that. There's very, very simple combos to do with GALIO. He's not a particularly complex champion. So I'm going to show you this game in 2x speed. Unfortunately, the game audio is non-existent because I tried to do this with a screen recorder, and unfortunately it was drawing audio from my microphone, and that meant that I was recording me and Rupert messing around at the same time. So I was kind of playing this game with Rupert on my lap, and so therefore all you could hear was just like Rupert making noises, and essentially it wasn't particularly good listening. So I'm going to do a little talk over of how I played this game. I believe GALIO to be super strong, by the way. I actually think after playing him, GALIO is going to be a very, very strong, like easily S tier champion. But I'm playing him in support role. I think support role is probably going to be where you see a lot of him. He will get played mostly between mid and support, but support is classically where you see a lot of GALIO in competitive league. Now, GALIO has a main power spike at level 3. That's when you unlock all of your abilities. His combo is using all 3 of his abilities. So his main power spike in the laning phase is at level 3 because you're going to look to dash in, you're going to taunt, and then you're going to use the Winds of War to deal damage. Obviously, it's not always as simple as that. Completely understand. But obviously that's where you should be looking to aim. Like that combo at level 3 is like a good place to look for an engage. So now I'm level 3. I could have obviously been looking for an engage, but you need to look at the lane matchup as well. There's no way if I go all in versus the Draven GALIO that an Ezreal GALIO is going to win that engage. So for me, I'm not looking to fight in this laning phase. I'm looking to just either peel back and provide a bit of space for my Ezreal, but there's no way that we actually win a strict 2v2 versus this lane because they are much stronger in an all-in. Because I have Ezreal versus Draven. Ezreal can do well in the laning phase versus Draven because you can outrange with Mystic Shot, but you can't win trades versus Draven. Now, I go a little bit all in here. Ezreal is forced to flash away. We end up taking down the GALIO very, very low. And actually, I get killed off by the Draven. But, they trade onto the Lee Sin, and Ezreal also picks up an assist, so that's perfectly fine. It was a bit wonky. It wasn't the best in the world, but it was okay. So now I can see the Shyvana looking to invade the Lee if you have a look at the minimap. So that's why I start to walk up towards the Shyvana. I then obviously see the Yasuo a little bit overextended. I try to cut him off, but he doesn't actually go towards the river. And so the Lee Sin then kicks him away, and he manages to get out on a sliver of HP. And somehow I survive with also a sliver of HP. I then ult, and Ezreal picks up the kill onto the GALIO. I then knock up and taunt the Yasuo again, who manages to escape, I think. And I get away with like sub 5 HP again. So that was absolutely mental. I went for, you might wonder why I went for Ninja Tabai. Well, they've got a Draven, a Shyvana, and a Yasuo. So Ninja Tabai gives me the most resistances this game. I taunt up the Draven, and use the Proto Bell and the Ignite for the Katarina to pick up the kill. And we can also see them doing Dragon. So obviously GALIO is a really, really, really good teamfight tool in the Dragon scenario. So I wait until the very end, wait until Shyvana's ulted, knock them up, taunt them up, and then we end up getting the Ocean Dragon here as well. I then knock up the Yasuo, and Bob's your uncle. We win the team fight. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. This is what GALIO is made for. This kind of stuff is what GALIO is made for. Now, I'm not actually playing the support GALIO build because I really wanted to play Mage GALIO, but I would recommend if you're playing ranked to play more of a defensive support build. You're probably not going to get enough gold to make the Mage build work in the support role. So I was doing it because it was a normal and I didn't really care, but you probably want to take a sort of a lower gold value one. We get another kill onto the Yasuo here because I essentially counter the other GALIO's engage with my ultimate, and that's a really, really good start. Now, I leave the Katarina to die here. There's no way that she survives. And I just let her kind of go down. In the meantime, the Draven does die on the bottom side of the map. I then see the Akali running down towards my Ezreal, so I'm like, boom! Got to get over there and help the cause, and then I knock her up. The Ezreal picks up the kill after we taunt her. So that's a really good series of events for my team. We've picked up a load of kills across the board. We're doing pretty well. Of course, the next dragon spawning relatively soon. The Katarina here, I decide to flash and then Protobelt looking for the taunt, but the Yasuo just flashes over the wall. Very even in terms of kills right now, by the way. Still very even. Now, I could have taunted much earlier there, but the GALIO has now burnt his ultimate, and I still have mine available. So obviously, there's now an opportunity around the next dragon fight. I taunt the Draven up. Now, I thought they were going to engage on the Katarina here, which is why I used my ultimate, and then I wasted my ultimate. So there you go. That's never fun. Not much going to happen here by just randomly sieging the mid lane turret, so I decide to head back to base before the next dragon fight. I don't know what Lee's doing here. I assume that he's pushing the side lane to at least to create pressure for the dragon. but he didn't really need to, and he ends up dying to the Shyvana and the Yasuo, which is never good for us because now we can't actually contest the dragon. However, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to contest the dragon anyway. Luckily, or unluckily rather, their Galio was really, really good on the engage, and they end up picking up a really solid team fight off the back of that engage. I got caught out by the Galio diving in. I could have just dived in myself, but alas, you know, mistakes happen. And obviously you just have to flame your jungler when that happens as well. Actually, don't flame your jungler. That's a little bit toxic by me. Now, I look to go onto the Draven here. I get taken very low, but in the end, it's their Galio that gets caught out. I then use my ultimate to buy a bit of time, and they all dive in randomly. Now, I do die here, but we get a huge amount back. Like, we essentially clean up their entire team. And I don't mind dying in this situation either. I'm very close to getting Liandry's, so that's like a really nice big item upgrade for me. And we're playing the team fights a little better. I also know that if I like set up for my Katarina, like if I taunt everyone and prevent Katarina from getting CC'd, like we have a really good team fight set up there. It looks like the Lee ends up getting a kill onto the Galio by himself. And of course, like, we completely neglected Rift Herald this game. We are looking to set up for the Infernal Drake, obviously, too. And we also have this mid lane turret to take down, which has been kind of the bane of our lives for quite some time. Now, Lee does manage to get the Shyvana taken very low. The Galio dives in, and we end up dying. I flash very badly. I meant to flash over the wall, and they chase both of us down. Now, luckily, they're not strong enough to go straight for Baron, because if they were, this would have been a GG, I think. But nonetheless, my Ezreal is like a Giga Smurf, and he's just kind of popping off. He's gone for the Iceborne Gauntlet build. Now, Katarina jumped in and just died. Don't really know why. And they're kind of trying to go on the Ezreal. Now, I dive in here, buy myself a little bit of time, buy my Ezreal a little bit of time. And here comes the Akali on the sidelines. I taunt to buy distance so that she doesn't go in, and then I completely mistime. The knock-up, and I didn't quite time it rightly on that either. But that, we got a huge win here. Me and Ezreal now pushing down towards this inhibitor turret. Like, this is just a big take for us. We got a really nice little engage, and we end up getting the turret. Now the Yasuo flashes over. I get a good knock-up into taunt. I've got plenty of gold now, but I AFK'd. Randomly AFK'd. Their Galio killed me off. Bit of an oopsie daisy. I didn't mean to AFK there, but it is what it is. Sometimes you're just in shop and you forget about it, You just forget about it. It just happens. Okay, so obviously what you're seeing here is like a lot of kind of like how to approach the team fights as Galio. I now have my Liandry's. I'm working towards my Abyssal Mask as well. What I like to do is I like to like proto belt in first, and then I like to try and use my Justice Punch to kind of position for my taunt. That's why I like proto belt. I just think it's like a really strong choice for Galio, just to close the gap and sort of get positional advantage on his enemies. Now we're going for the Baron here. Now again, I just dive in, look for a taunt. I do have my ultimate available, and again, I just managed to time the Zhonya's correctly this time round. I am just buying space. We don't do the Baron, unfortunately, but we do take a positive trade overall. I try to get the taunt, which I do, onto the Shyvana, which is great, but Draven is probably enough by himself to prevent us going for the win. So even though I knock the Draven up, get the taunt, the Ezreal and the Katarina aren't able to finish the game because the Akali shows up and just kills everyone. And so my Ezreal just is kind of killing it right now. He's kind of smurfing, but we don't manage to finish the game. So we have at least one more fight ready to go. My teammate just kind of runs it down. Not really sure why, but the Ezreal did well. He took a couple of kills before the Yasuo died. My Lee Sin also kind of throws. Now I'm trying to get into range for the ultimate, which I do here. The Yasuo is going to like dive onto my Lee Sin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to proto belt in, get a taunt, get a knock up, and I think we should be able to take out the Shyvana here as well, which we do. I flash over the wall because I thought she was going to flash. It looked like she was, but the Katarina ends up getting the kill. So we're going to go for the Cloud Drake now. I taunt or at least kind of zone the Akali out from her Shroud by just throwing the taunt on the entire Shroud. And that gives us enough advantage to go for this dragon. And again, one of the good things about Galio is if anyone tries to threaten you at neutral objectives, you just kind of walk up to them and you use your Justice Punch and you taunt them. So it looks like they catch the Galio out here. The Yasuo is going to get taunted up, as is the Shyvana. I taunt up both of them in this situation and try to go very deep onto the Shyvana to buy some time. Again, just trying to chase her down. Don't quite land the taunt. She will end up killing me here, but she'll die eventually as well. My Teemo trying to end the game by himself does end up getting killed by the Akali, but my Ezreal, he's like super strong right now. He's in like a winning position. He's surely just going to end up winning the game 100% by himself. So that was my Galio support game. Really strong in the team fights. 4-7-26, by the way. I think he's like definitely an S tier. I think Galio's an S tier.